Today I want to show you how you can make an umami-packed furikake that also doubles as an instant ochazuke, so stick around! Furikake literally means sprinkled on, and it's a class of condiment that's sprinkled over rice or veggies to season them. It was originally devised as a tasty nutritional supplement by a pharmacist, but these days it's become just another processed food. I've been experimenting to see if I could come up with a better way to make furikake that's still just as crispy and packed with umami, and I think I figured it out. My trick is to use a base of rolled oats and sesame seeds. This gives my furikake a crispy texture while loading it up with fiber and calcium. The umami comes from seasonings that are rich in amino acids and nucleic acids like konbu and shiitake mushrooms, and by adding matcha and nori, you get a beautiful green color along with vitamins and antioxidants. Sound good? Let's start with a look at our ingredients. I've got a half cup of rolled oats, 3 tablespoons of toasted sesame seeds, and 1 small dried shiitake mushroom. To season this, I've got a tablespoon of brown sugar, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a teaspoon of kombucha, a half teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. To finish it off, I'm using 2 teaspoons of aonori, but you can also shred some regular nori, and I have 1 teaspoon of matcha. Let's start by preheating our oven to 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, you want to grind the shiitake mushrooms up. I'm using a food processor to do this, but I'll show you another method to do it in a minute. Dried shiitake mushroom not only provides texture for our furikake, it's also going to add oodles of umami. Once the shiitakes are roughly ground like this, we're going to add the oats and grind this until it becomes a rough meal. You don't want to turn it into flour, but you also don't want your furikake to end up looking like granola. By the way, if you don't have a food processor, you can also do this by hand by crushing the oats between your fingers like this. Then you can use a microplane to turn the shiitake mushroom into a powder. Regardless of the method you use, you want to end up with a coarse meal that looks like this. Now I'm gonna dump this into a bowl and add in the sesame seeds. Let's mix this together to get it all incorporated, and then I'm gonna make the seasoning in a separate bowl by adding the sugar, soy sauce, salt, kombucha, and oil. Then I'm gonna whisk this together until the ingredients are evenly combined. Now let's dump the seasonings into the dry ingredients and stir it all together until the mixture resembles wet sand. Okay, this is looking good, so let's dump this out onto a parchment-lined baking sheet, and then I'm gonna spread it out evenly across the surface of the sheet. Let's pop this into the oven and we're gonna let it bake for about 15 minutes. Halfway through, you'll want to take the furikake out of the oven and mix it up. This ensures it browns evenly. Alright, let's get this back into the oven. Before we see how our furikake turned out, I want to thank Musubi Kiln for providing the beautiful plateware I used in this video. I'm particularly fond of these adorable chopstick rests, but they have a huge selection of Japanese tableware from traditional to modern. So hit the link in the description down below and use coupon code NORECIPES to get 5% off your order. Okay, our timer's up, so let's see how our furikake turned out. It's beautiful and crunchy, and it smells amazing, so let's let this cool to room temperature. Once it's cooled off, I'm gonna transfer the furikake on the parchment paper to a flat surface. And then I'm going to use a rolling pin to break up any large clusters that have formed. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it's easier to sprinkle when the clusters aren't too large. Now I'm going to transfer our rice sprinkles into a bowl and add the aonori and the matcha. Then I'm gonna mix it all together until the ingredients are evenly distributed. Both matcha and aonori tend to discolor when they're heated, which is why I like to add these at the very end. Furikake will keep for a few weeks, so I recommend storing it in a sealed opaque container at room temperature that'll protect it from humidity and light. Alright, let's try this on some rice. Beautiful, isn't it? Alright, you ready to try this out? Itadakimasu! This looks so good. It's so vibrant green. Oh man, and it sounds crunchy. I don't know if you can hear that, but the sesame and oatmeal are super crunchy and they give this really nice nutty aroma. And you also have that shiitake and the kombucha in there that gives us a ton of umami. And that matcha and aonori not only gives us a beautiful green color, it also gives it a nice fresh taste. All right, let's go ahead and try turning this into ochazuke. I've got a pot of hot water here and I'm just gonna pour it right over the rice. And ooh, you can already see it's turned vibrant green from the green tea. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just mix this up. And that tea and the aonori are so fragrant. All right, and I think I'm gonna add a little bit more furikake here to make it nice and green. All right, let's try this out. Oh, that's so comforting, like a warm fuzzy blanket. Aside from its many uses with rice, this vegan furikake is also delicious on steamed veggies or sprinkled on a salad, so I hope you'll give it a try. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by giving this a big thumbs up and by sharing it with all your friends that are trying to eat a little more plant-based. Well, I'm gonna go sit down and have the rest of this, but check out this playlist for more vegan-friendly recipes. And I'll catch you in the next one.